The thing that changed the Cardiff Giant to me from like just a freak show host to something like interesting was that Ralph Waldo Emerson went and saw it. The Cardiff Giant is this kind of hoax thing that happened in the 1860s. There's a guy, his name's George Hull. He's from New York. He's traveling through Iowa and he gets into a conflict with some like preachers there about whether or not giants were real. And in this moment, he decides that he's going to convince a bunch of people that he has a petrified giant. He goes to Montana, finds the right piece of rock for it, sends it to Chicago, has it like carved into this 10-foot tall human form, and he takes it back to New York and he secretly buries it on his in law's property. Then a year later, he hires some guys to dig a well and discover it. Very first day, he lets a whole bunch of people see it. After that, he starts ticketing for it. It's definitely like a commercial enterprise. He ends up selling it for like 10 times as much as he put into it. There's this train of thought surrounding all the hoaxes and the humbugs and the frauds of the late 1800s. Barnum really wanted to buy this giant. That what was really being sold was the idea that individual experience was so important and so affirming that like it was up to the people witnessing this thing to determine whether or not it was a fraud or a truth. And there really were three groups, right? There was like the religious groups that really thought this was a petrified giant. Then there were kind of the scientifically minded that thought that this was an artifact, a statue of some kind, but it had to be ancient. Ralph Waldo Emerson was part of that group. And then there were the group that thought it might be, a recent artifact. Within a couple of months, George Hull had been like, hey, this was a hoax, because his whole point was that he could create this kind of hoax. But the thing that changed my understanding of it was a line in a paper about it that describes not only this hoax, but all of these hoaxes that made so much money and so much traction in the 1860s, 70s, 80s, 90s, as giving people the power to reframe themselves, not as credulous gawkers, but as like defined, self-empowered Yankees making the decision about what was true and false and not needing the specialization of science because they had kind of individual worth in it, which is so Ralph Waldo Emerson, right? That's Ralph Waldo Emerson in a nutshell, is that we all have to experience these things and that wonder is somehow tied in with it. But he got it wrong. He thought it was an ancient statue, and it had definitely been made in Chicago the year before.